For over 30 years, Canadians have been actively involved in helping refugees from different parts of the world find a new home in Canada. To date, over 200,000 refugees have come to Canada through the Private Sponsorship of Refugees program. This program continues to be a great opportunity and oftentimes the only hope and venue for refugees who need to find a solution to their plight. In this video, we will explore the reasons why sponsors participate in the sponsorship of refugees through a conversation with some sponsors.
I've been involved in sponsorship now for over 30 years. I can tell you about what got me there first. My sort of home base organization is Amnesty International. And in 1978, we adopted a prisoner of conscience from Argentina. And then we learned that Canada was about to accept 100 political prisoners from Argentina. So we proceeded to sponsor him to come to Canada. And it was successful. Those were very early days. It was even before we had an official private sponsorship program in Canada. It was before the Vietnamese, about the same time as the Boat people. At that time, probably it was the second private sponsorship that had been handled by our local CIC office in Saskatoon. And the manager of CIC, who happened to belong to the same United Church congregation as I, came to my house on his lunch break to fill the papers. And the morning after the man arrived, I was able to report on the steps of the church that we'd had a safe arrival.
Our congregation is missionary congregation, and it was founded basically to help the poor and the needy. One of our charisms is to work with the most abundant people. Our early conference brothers worked so much with refugees during the slave trade period. And so with that, it has become part of our charism.
It wasn't until 1994 that I got involved in sponsorship. And at the time, I didn't know there was such a thing as sponsorship agreement holders. But I just, just from knowing people in the community and hearing about their relatives who needed help, I started helping people do groups of 5. So that's how I started in 1994.
Probably half of the group who are meeting here were involved with refugee outreach in the 1979-1981 period, when the Diocese of Antigonish, Nova Scotia, welcomed dozens of families from the Republic of Vietnam. And they had come here from various refugee camps. So
I've been involved in refugee sponsorship in our church since probably 1979. It goes back a long way. And we've sponsored different people throughout the years. First of all, we had a couple from Vietnam that came. Then we had another couple from Vietnam and their mother.
I think I was born with some kind of a justice gene. So I've always been involved in human rights and social justice and advocacy.
But we're a group of people who I experienced who have very warm and welcoming hearts and are filled with goodwill to try and help a group of people coming from a refugee situation to adjust to life in Canada.
Currently, we are sponsoring a family from Africa, and the lady in this group came 7 years ago, and she arrived with 5 children at the time, and at the time thinking that her husband was no longer alive. She was here for 4 days, and her oldest son died. So the first thing we had to do as sponsors for this family was to prepare a funeral for their son, for their oldest son. He was 15 at the time. And so it was pretty difficult. And about a year later, we've got word that her husband had been found and was alive still. And so we decided to see what we could do about sponsoring him. We went through MCC and through Elaine, and he finally arrived in August of last year, about 2010. So it was a sad time, but a very, very good time as well.
I did a sponsorship of an Iraqi family. They arrived in 2001. It was a widowed mother with 6 children, 5 girls and 1 boy. One of my fun memories is teaching the 2 youngest to skate. It was a great bonding time, and we had a lot of fun, and they learned a lot of English as we skated, and that's a great memory. I've continued to be in contact with that family.
Nous autres, c'est surtout parce que la demande est là. Il y a tellement de gens partout au monde qui veulent venir au Canada, qui n'ont pas nécessairement l'opportunité de le faire.
I was thinking about the other people who are not here. I know how they feel, and I know they want to come, but they don't know how. So I start to sponsor my family, and then after whoever, if I can, I am going to do it.
It is very important to do this type of work because we are created as human beings to love, to bring life, to bring happiness. And therefore, for me, it is important not only to see people languishing in camps, no fault of theirs, maybe selfishness of our leaders, and so they find themselves there. So I look at it, what can I do? How can I help them?
The big thing is to raise awareness. I think if people know about these situations and know that there is a way they can be involved and can help, they will do it. And so I guess the biggest challenge is letting people know that there is a way they can get involved and help.
I was thinking, Canada even, they don't know us. They brought us and they did these all things. And why not? I know them, my family. Instead of waiting for Canada to sponsor them, if I can, I will sponsor. That's my motivation to sponsor people if I can. If the door is open, I'm not going to stop bringing, because I know how people are suffering outside of Canada.
We don't see ourselves enjoying the peaceful moment of Canada and then others going through the difficulties of life. But it is also our responsibility to help them realize that is not the end of everything. There is life.
Networking is probably the greatest strategy, if you want to call it that. So when I work with people who want to undertake sponsorship, I not only help them meet the various communities here who are already resettled, who are themselves participating in sponsorship, but I like to introduce them to the other organizations that will help them along the way to do the sponsorship.
It's the normal stance when you're making a decision is to have a sense of anxiety and fear and excitement at the same time. So if they're feeling the excitement in terms of sponsoring a family, that's great. If they're feeling anxiety or tension, that's normal as well. But it's as well, if you have the group, as you explained, at least 5 people, they can do it. This began when we found we needed the money, right, and we were being pressed. It was 5 people who let their names go forward and made the financial commitment. But in the end, we knew that we had 15 people meeting regularly with Inverness County Welcomes, and we had the larger community beyond us that would support it. So it's to tell people that it's not necessarily an easy ride. You have to work all the things Michael described in terms of fundraisers. They have to be done. So there's a lot of legwork to do. Don't make it sound too easy.
And don't make it sound too hard.
Too hard. Yeah.
It's a wonderful community building thing. I know it's certainly not just brought us together. We're the ones that are on the committee, but the whole community is involved. involved. The whole county is involved, which is the amazing thing. We have different faiths. We have people of no faith at all. We have young, we have old, we've got children involved. And I find it brings us together as a community.
I think really need to appreciate the fact that refugees that we have sponsored, as quickly as they get on their feet, they're ready to sponsor others. And they work really hard at that, and they are very dedicated to that.
C'est beaucoup plus valorisant de travailler avec eux parce qu'on voit dans l'état qu'ils sont quand ils arrivent, puis au bout d'un an ou deux, on voit tellement de progrès que c'est ça qui est valorisant. Voir un petit enfant qui arrive ici, puis il parle pas la langue, il est gêné, il veut pas parler à personne, gêné comme ça fait pitié. Qu'on les voit arriver de l'école une journée, puis que tu lui demandes comment sa journée a été à l'école, puis il peut te dire « Hey, ça a super bien été », puis il te le répond en français, puis dans un français correct, c'est ça qui est valorisant.
We have one of the most beautiful places in all the world to invite refugees to, and we have a wonderful support system. People care about one another and willing to share.
To see that these little ones, young ones, especially in the schools, who came in without English, and now they communicate in English, and they have been able to interact in the society. They have gotten friends. They have been loved in the society, in their teachers and friends.
You see how these people contribute to Canada, to the economy, and so on. You know, many people think that think the refugees are going to be a burden on our system and so on. Most of the refugees that I see coming are young people, and they're very, very quick to pick up new skills. They don't necessarily have the book learning, but you know, they before you know it, they have started their own companies. They are hiring Canadians. This is a win-win situation, you know. I mean, there's so much lost potential out there in the world, you know, people who are basically in limbo.
Every family has ups, they have downs, they have successes, they have failures, and every group is going to face that. But every little progress is such a big thing, and it brings such joy, such as when your child does something good or makes progress or learns a new word, and that's what it's like with the family.
I strongly believe they have a brighter future, especially the young ones coming up who came in so little, so they have been able to get involved in the system, and now they are Canadians.
To arrive at the airport and to see them coming and to see the joy on their faces, even though you sometimes can't speak the language. But the joy on the faces of people, I mean, they know they're being met by somebody, they're going to be cared for, and they're going to be, and especially like our situation, Leonie had been here for these many years, and all of a sudden her husband arrives, whom she hasn't seen for 11 years. It's just phenomenal and then to be part of that experience. It was like laughing, crying, we were all just crying together and just hugging each other. It was just a wonderful experience.
I consider myself to be one of the richest people in the world. I have friends from so many parts of the world, and I've learned so much just about life and culture and tradition and people.
You know, like they say about people that are athletes or something, they get a real high from doing this kind of thing. And it's almost like it's a real high to just to witness that and see, you know, what's happened as a result of all of the stuff that you've been working on and working toward.
I'm so happy with the chance I get to sponsor. I'm amazed and I am so happy about it.
I've just been gifted beyond all words in terms of the many relationships I've had.
No, I'd certainly encourage other communities and people to do it.
I hope that anybody who have a glance of this video will not close the ears and the eyes. And there are many out there that need help.
And it's not really an obligation, it's a joy to do it, but it's just, at least that's the way I feel, but it's just something that I really, really enjoy doing.
If people sponsor, they will never, never, never regret it.